The massive space station Kepler-7 floated in the darkness between stars. Ships from across the galaxy filled its docking bays. Every year, the Galactic Council held this gathering to show off their newest warships. It was like a grand parade of power and technology. Ambassador Chen Wei stood at the observation deck watching the alien vessels dock. Each ship was more beautiful than the last. The Altarian cruisers looked like silver daggers that could cut through space itself. Their hulls gleamed with perfect mirror surfaces. The Zephyrian ships seemed to be made of living crystal, changing colors as they moved. And the massive Krillian dreadnoughts looked like floating cities covered in weapon turrets. Chen's assistant, Maria Santos, joined him at the window. "Our ship just arrived," she said quietly. "Bay 94. Chen nodded and tried to look confident. But inside he felt worried. He had seen Earth's contribution to this showcase. The UES Defiant was not like these alien ships at all. Down in Bay 94, alien dock workers stopped their tasks to stare. The human ship had just landed, and it was nothing like what they expected. The Defiant looked like someone had built it in a garage. Its hull was made of different colored metal plates welded together. Some sections were dark gray, others were silver, and a few were even painted blue. Thick weld marks ran along every joint. In some places, actual silver tape covered small holes in the outer hull. "Is that really a warship?" asked a young Altarian engineer. His senior officer shook his head in disbelief. "The humans call it their finest military achievement," the older alien said. "I have seen cargo haulers that look more dangerous." Word spread quickly through the station. Aliens came from all over just to see the human ship. They pointed and laughed. Some took pictures. A group of Krillian officers stood nearby, making jokes in their harsh language. Captain Sarah Martinez walked down the Defiance ramp. She had short gray hair and scars on her face from old battles. Her uniform was simple blue and black, not fancy like the alien outfits around her. She heard the laughter, but kept her face calm. She had fought in 3 wars, and faced much worse than mockery. "Captain Martinez," Chen greeted her. "How was the flight?" "Smooth as always," Martinez replied. "The Defiant runs better than she looks." Chen hoped that was true. In 2 hours, they would have to present their ship to the entire Galactic Council. Leaders from 50 different worlds would be watching. The main hall of Kepler-7 was enormous. It could hold 10,000 beings comfortably. Today it was packed. Aliens of every shape and size filled the seats. Some looked like humans but with different colored skin. Others were completely strange. Floating gas creatures, rock-like beings, and things that seemed to be made of pure energy. The presentations began. First came the Altarians. Their Admiral Veltar spoke in perfect musical tones. "Behold the Starlight-class cruiser," he said. A hologram showed their sleek ship cutting through space. Quantum displacement drives allow instant travel across the galaxy. Plasma beam arrays can destroy a moon in seconds. Energy shields that can stop anything. The crowd applauded politely. Next came the Zephyrians. Their ship could phase in and out of normal space, appearing and disappearing like a ghost. The audience gasped in amazement. Then the Krillian Empire presented their newest dreadnought. It was 3 kilometers long and bristled with weapons. "The Worldbreaker class," announced Admiral Zorth, a massive creature covered in scales, built to enforce peace across the galaxy. The crowd cheered loudly. The Krillians were known as the strongest military force in the Council. Finally, it was Earth's turn. Ambassador Chen walked to the stage with shaking hands. The hall grew quiet, then filled with whispers and soft laughter. "Ladies and gentlemen," Chen began, "Earth presents the UES Defiant." The hologram appeared, showing the boxy, patched-together ship. The reaction was immediate. Loud laughter echoed through the hall. Someone in the back shouted, "Did they forget to finish building it?" Admiral Zorth stood up from his seat. "With respect, Ambassador," he said in his deep, growling voice. "Is this some kind of joke? That thing looks like it belongs in a scrapyard, not a military fleet." More laughter filled the hall. Chen's face turned red, but he continued reading his prepared speech. The Defiant represents human ingenuity and adaptability. Adaptability? Interrupted another voice. It was Commander Vextar of the Hegemony, Navy. The only thing that ship has adapted to is falling apart. I have seen asteroid miners with better armor. Even the usually polite Altarians were snickering. The Zephyrians whispered among themselves in their crystal-like voices. Chen looked around desperately, but every face showed amusement or disgust. Admiral Zorth stepped forward. His massive form cast a shadow over the ambassador. Perhaps, he said slowly, the humans should stick to what they do best. I hear Earth grows excellent vegetables. Leave the military matters to real warriors. The hall erupted in laughter. Chen wanted to run away and hide. This was supposed to show that humanity was ready to join the galactic community as equals. Instead, they looked like fools. But then Captain Martinez stepped onto the stage. She looked small next to the massive alien admiral, but her voice carried clearly through the hall. You find our ship amusing, she said calmly. I understand. It does not look like your vessels, but appearances can be deceiving. Admiral Zorth laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. Oh, I am sure it has many hidden features. Perhaps a better paint job? The crowd laughed again, but Martinez did not smile. Would you care to test that theory, Admiral? The laughter stopped. Suddenly, Zorth's eyes narrowed. Are you challenging the Krillian Empire, human? Martinez shrugged. I am suggesting a friendly demonstration. Your finest ships against ours. Let actions speak louder than appearances. The hall was dead silent now. No one had ever directly challenged the Krillians before. They had the most powerful fleet in the known galaxy. Zorth looked around the hall, then back at the small woman. His honor was at stake now. If he refused, he would look weak. Very well, he growled. A combat exercise. 3 of my heavy cruisers against your prototype. Agreed, Martinez said without hesitation. Chen grabbed her arm. Captain, what are you doing? This is madness. Martinez looked at him with calm eyes. Sometimes, Ambassador, you have to show people what humanity is really made of. Admiral Zorth announced the rules. Tomorrow at noon, we will conduct war games in the Kepler asteroid field. Energy dampeners will prevent actual destruction. The first side to disable all enemy ships wins. He leaned closer to Martinez. I hope your ship has good escape pods, human. You will need them. Martinez smiled for the first time since arriving. I hope you do too, Admiral. As the crowd dispersed, aliens placed bets on how quickly the human ship would be defeated. Most guessed under 30 seconds. A few generous souls gave it a full minute. Captain Martinez walked back to her ship alone. Behind her, she could hear the continued laughter and jokes. Tomorrow, she thought, would be very educational for everyone involved. The Defiant sat in its docking bay, looking as rough and patched as ever. But Martinez knew something the aliens did not. Sometimes the best weapons are the ones your enemy never sees coming. She climbed aboard her ship and began making preparations. Tomorrow would change everything. The next morning, Kepler Station buzzed with excitement. Word of the challenge had spread to every corner of the massive space station. Aliens who had never shown interest in military matters suddenly wanted to watch the combat demonstration. In the station's main cafeteria, groups of beings from different worlds gathered around tables discussing the upcoming battle. A table of Altarian officers shared breakfast while making jokes. I heard the human ship has windows you can actually see through, one said, causing the others to laugh. How primitive. Energy screens are much more efficient. Nearby, a group of Zephyrian diplomats floated above their seats, their crystal bodies chiming softly as they spoke. Perhaps we should feel sorry for them, one suggested. They clearly do not understand modern warfare. But it was the Krillian military officers who were the loudest. They filled an entire section of the cafeteria with their massive forms. Their scales clinked against their armor as they moved, and their voices carried across the room. This is what happens when you let primitives play with real technology, boomed Colonel Thrak, Admiral Zorth's second-in-command. They think they can compete with civilizations that have been traveling the stars for thousands of years. Maybe we should go easy on them, suggested another Krillian. It would be embarrassing to completely destroy them in front of everyone. Colonel Thrak snorted a sound like grinding metal. The Admiral wants to make an example. These humans need to learn their place in the galaxy. Better they learn it now than later. In another part of the station, Ambassador Chen sat in his quarters staring at reports. His hands shook slightly as he read the technical specifications of Krillian heavy cruisers. Each ship was 5 times the size of the Defiant. Their plasma cannons could melt through a kilometer of solid rock. Their shields had never been broken in battle. Maria Santos knocked on his door and entered. "Sir, the betting pools are up to 500,000 credits." Chen looked up with tired eyes. "Let me guess. No one is betting on us." "Actually, sir, a few beings have placed small bets on the Defiant lasting more than 1 minute." Maria tried to sound encouraging. "The odds are 700 to 1 against us." Chen put his head in his hands. "What have we done? This was supposed to be a peaceful showcase. Now we are about to be humiliated in front of the entire galactic community." Meanwhile, Captain Martinez walked through the Defiant's corridors, checking systems with her crew. The ship was not large, only 200 meters long compared to the kilometer-long Krillian cruisers. Her crew of 35 humans looked tiny compared to the 1,000-being crews on alien warships. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Tom Walsh from the engineering section. "All systems are green. The boys down here are excited for a real test." Martinez nodded. Walsh had been with her for 8 years. He understood the Defiant better than anyone except perhaps Chief Engineer Rosa Kim. "How are our special systems?" Martinez asked quietly. Walsh grinned. "Ready and waiting, Captain. The aliens are going to get quite a surprise." In the ship's small bridge, Martinez found her senior officers reviewing battle plans. Commander Jeff Park, her first officer, looked up from his displays. "The Krillians are bringing their newest heavy cruisers," he reported. "The Dominator, the Conquest, and the Iron Fist. Each one has enough firepower to level a small city." "Weapons?" Martinez asked. "Plasma beam arrays, quantum torpedoes, and something they call planet cracker missiles," said Lieutenant Sarah Chen, the weapons officer. "On paper, any one of their ships should be able to destroy us in seconds." Martinez sat in her captain's chair and smiled slightly. "On paper, Lieutenant, but we did not build this ship to look good on paper." Back in the main hall of Kepler Station, Admiral Zorth gave interviews to galactic news networks. Reporters from dozens of worlds asked him questions about the upcoming demonstration. "Admiral, do you think this is fair?" asked a reporter from the Centaurian Broadcasting Network. "3 ships against 1 seems excessive." Zorth's laugh rumbled like thunder. "The humans issued the challenge. I am simply accommodating their request. If they had wanted fair odds, they should not have insulted the Krillian military." Another reporter, this one from the Vegan Free Press, raised her hand. "Some observers are saying this is bullying. The humans are clearly outmatched." "Bullying?" Zorth's eyes flashed with anger. "The humans came to our gathering with that pathetic excuse for a warship. They embarrassed themselves and tried to make fools of us all. If they cannot handle the consequences, they should not have come here." A brave reporter from Earth News Network managed to ask one more question. "What if they surprise you, Admiral?" Zorth paused, then threw back his head and laughed so hard his armor rattled. "Surprise me? With what? That flying scrap heap cannot even maintain proper hull integrity. Look at it, held together with tape and prayers. The only surprise would be if it survives the first shot." The interview ended with more laughter from the assembled reporters. Only the human journalist looked worried. As noon approached, ships began moving toward the asteroid field outside the station. The Krillian heavy cruisers launched first, their massive forms sliding out of the docking bays like sleeping giants awakening. Their hulls were perfect black metal covered in weapon ports. Each ship looked capable of conquering a planet by itself. Hundreds of smaller ships followed to serve as observers. Every major news network in the galaxy had sent crews. This was being broadcast live to billions of beings across known space. Finally, the Defiant emerged from its bay. Next to the sleek observer ships, it looked even more pathetic. Its mismatched hull plates caught the light differently, making it look like a children's toy made from spare parts. "Ladies and gentlemen," announced the station's public address system, "we are about to witness the first combat demonstration between the Krillian Empire and the newcomer species from Earth. Remember, this is a training exercise with safety protocols in place." In the command center of the Dominator, Admiral Zorth stood before a massive holographic display showing the battle area. His 3 ships formed a triangle with the human vessel in the center. It was a classic hunting formation, designed to prevent escape. "All ships, this is Admiral Zorth," he broadcast on open channels so the observers could hear. "Today we teach these primitives the difference between real military power and whatever they think they have built." His bridge crew laughed appreciatively. These were veterans who had fought in dozens of battles. They had never lost a fight. "Humans," Zorth continued, "you still have time to surrender and save yourselves the embarrassment. Your ship looks like it will fall apart if we look at it too hard." Captain Martinez's voice came back calm and steady. "Thank you for the offer, Admiral, but we will pass. Earth did not come this far by running away from fights. Your funeral, human," Zorth growled. He turned to his weapons officer. "Charge all plasma arrays. Target their engines first. I want them disabled, not destroyed. They need to survive, long enough to understand their mistake." Around the asteroid field, observer ships positioned themselves at safe distances. On board each vessel, alien crews watched their screens with anticipation. Some felt sorry for the humans. Others were excited to see advanced Krillian technology in action, but most just expected to see a very short, very one-sided battle. The countdown began. "Combat exercise begins in 10 seconds, announced the referee ship. 9, 8, 7, Admiral. Zorth smiled, showing his sharp teeth. This would be over quickly. 3, 2, 1. Begin. The moment the battle began, all 3 Krillian ships opened fire at once. Brilliant streams of plasma energy erupted from their weapons, lighting up the dark space around the asteroids. Each beam contained enough power to melt through a mountain. The combined firepower of 3 heavy cruisers created a light show visible from the space station itself. On the observer ships, alien crews leaned forward in their seats. Camera operators zoomed in for close-up shots. Everyone expected to see the human ship break apart or at least try to dodge the incoming fire. Instead, something impossible happened. The Defiant sat perfectly still and let the plasma beams hit it directly. The energy weapon struck the patched hull and simply disappeared. There was no explosion, no hull breach, no damage at all. The ship absorbed the attack like a sponge soaking up water. Admiral Zorth stared at his screens in confusion. What happened? Did our weapons malfunction? His weapons officer checked his instruments frantically. No, sir, all systems fired perfectly. Direct hits on target. But the human ship shows no damage. On the observation ships, the mood changed instantly. Excited, chatter turned to stunned silence. Alien reporters struggled to explain what they were seeing. "This is impossible," whispered Commander Vextar from his ship nearby. "No vessel can simply absorb that much energy." Captain Martinez's voice came over the communication system, still calm and steady. "Is that all you have, Admiral? We barely felt that." Through the Defiant's bridge windows, Martinez watched her crew work with quiet efficiency. The energy absorption systems had performed exactly as designed. What looked like crude patches on the hull were actually the most advanced materials Earth had ever created. "Chief Kim, report," Martinez called to her chief engineer. "Hull integrity at 100%, Captain," came the reply from engineering. The composite armor absorbed 97% of the energy. The rest was channeled into our backup power systems. We actually have more power now than when we started. Martinez nodded. Humanity had learned hard lessons during their wars. On Earth, while aliens developed energy shields to deflect attacks, humans had learned to absorb and redirect energy instead. Every patch on the Defiant's hull was made from different experimental materials. Some absorbed heat, others converted energy to electricity, and still others became stronger when hit. "Return fire," Martinez ordered calmly. "Let them see how we fight." The Defiant's weapon systems came online, but they were nothing like the alien energy weapons. Instead of plasma beams or laser cannons, the human ship fired solid metal projectiles from railguns hidden throughout its hull. The first round hit the Dominator at 20% of light speed. The Krillian shields, designed to stop energy weapons, offered no resistance to solid matter moving that fast. The projectile punched through the cruiser's armor like it was made of paper and destroyed 3 weapon turrets. "Impossible," Admiral Zorth roared. "Our shield stopped nothing." His science officer looked up from his station with wide eyes. "Sir, their weapons are purely kinetic. Our energy shields cannot deflect solid objects moving at those speeds." A second railgun round hit the Conquest, completely destroying its main engine section. The massive ship began spinning helplessly through space, its crew struggling to regain control. But the Defiant was just getting started. Hidden panels across the ship's hull opened up, revealing dozens of missile launchers. But these were not the guided energy torpedoes used by most galactic civilizations. These were old-fashioned explosive rockets with metal warheads, hundreds of them. "Swarm missile deployment," announced Lieutenant Chen from the weapons station. "All tubes loaded and ready." "Fire at will," Martinez replied. The Defiant launched a cloud of missiles that spread out like an angry swarm of insects. Each missile was small and simple, but there were so many of them that the Krillian defense systems could not track them all. The Iron Fist tried to use its plasma cannons to shoot down the incoming missiles. They destroyed dozens of them, but hundreds more got through. The explosions across the ship's hull looked like fireworks, but each blast tore holes in the Krillian armor. Admiral Zorth watched in horror as his supposedly invincible fleet was being torn apart by weapons that should have been outdated centuries ago. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "These are primitive weapons." On the Defiant's bridge, Commander Park smiled as he watched the battle unfold. "The Admiral seems upset," he observed. "He should be," Martinez replied. "His people got so focused on making fancy energy weapons that they forgot about the basics. Sometimes the old ways work best." But the human ship had one more surprise to reveal. As the battle continued, something strange began happening to the Defiant itself. The ship's computers were analyzing every attack, every movement, every tactic the Krillians used. Then the ship began to adapt. The hull plates started shifting and rearranging themselves. Weapons ports moved to new positions for better angles. The ship's shape actually began to change, becoming more streamlined and efficient as the fight went on. "What kind of technology is this?" gasped a Zephyrian observer. "Their ship is evolving in real time." Lieutenant Walsh's voice came from engineering. "Adaptive systems are working perfectly, Captain. The hull is optimizing itself for combat. We are now 30% more efficient than when we started." The Conquest, still spinning from the engine hit, tried desperately to bring its weapons to bear on the human ship. But every time they lined up a shot, the Defiant had moved or changed shape enough to throw off their targeting. The Iron Fist attempted a different strategy. The massive Krillian ship activated its ramming prow and charged straight at the Defiant. If energy weapons and missiles would not work, maybe brute force would. "Incoming collision course," reported the navigation officer. "They are trying to ram us." Martinez smiled. "Let them come. Mr. Walsh, deploy the magnetic grapples." Hidden systems throughout the Defiant's hull activated. Powerful electromagnets, originally designed for salvage operations, locked onto the Iron Fist as it approached. Instead of being crushed, the human ship caught the Krillian cruiser like a baseball in a glove. Using the attacking ship's own momentum against it, the Defiant spun around and hurled the Iron Fist directly into a large asteroid. The impact was tremendous, creating a cloud of rock and metal debris that spread for kilometers. The Dominator, Admiral Zorth's flagship, was now alone and badly damaged. Half its weapons were destroyed, its shields were failing, and its crew was in a state of panic. "Sir," his first officer reported, "the Conquest has lost main power and the Iron Fist is stuck in that asteroid. We are the only ship left operational." Admiral Zorth stared at the human ship on his screen. It looked just as patched and crude as before, but now he understood that those patches were like armor made by warriors who knew how to fight. "What are you?" he whispered. Captain Martinez's voice answered him, as if she had heard his thoughts. "We are humans, Admiral. We come from a world that has been trying to kill us for millions of years. We learned to adapt, to survive, and to never give up. This ship is not pretty, but it was built by people who understand that looks do not win battles." The Dominator tried one last desperate attack, firing everything it had left at the human ship. Again, the Defiant simply absorbed the energy and converted it to power. "Your turn," Martinez said quietly. The final railgun shot was precise and surgical. It hit the Dominator's command center, destroying only the bridge controls and leaving. The crew unharmed but completely helpless. The battle was over. In the silence that followed, hundreds of observer ships floated motionless around the asteroid field. 3 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy had been defeated by something that looked like it was built in a garage. Finally, Admiral Zorth's voice came over the communication system, weak and defeated. "Human ship, this is Admiral Zorth. We surrender." The silence in space lasted for nearly a full minute. Across the observer fleet, alien crews sat frozen at their stations, trying to process what they had just witnessed. The mighty Krillian Empire, the strongest military force in the known galaxy, had been completely defeated by a single human ship that looked like it was built from scrap metal. Admiral Zorth floated in the emergency command center of his crippled flagship. His massive form was strapped into a rescue chair, medical equipment monitoring his vital signs. The proud warrior who had been so confident just minutes before now looked broken and confused. Captain Martinez's voice came over the communication system, professional and calm. "Admiral Zorth, this is Captain Martinez. Are you injured? Do you require medical assistance?" The question seemed to surprise Zorth. In Krillian culture, defeated enemies were usually left to die. We have wounded, but nothing critical," he replied slowly. "Understood. We are transmitting emergency repair procedures to your engineering teams. Your ship should be operational enough to return to the station safely." This act of kindness toward a defeated enemy shocked the observing aliens even more. The humans had not only won an impossible victory, they were now helping their former opponents. On the bridge of the Defiant, Martinez turned to her first officer. "Status report, Commander Park. All systems functioning normally, Captain. Hull. Integrity at 100%. Actually, the adaptive armor is now stronger than when we started. The ship literally learned from being shot at." Lieutenant Chen looked up from her weapons station. "Captain, we used less than 15% of our ammunition. The railguns are loaded and ready. Missiles tubes are still mostly full." Martinez nodded. She had expected this. The Defiant had been designed to fight multiple battles without resupply. Earth's military planners had assumed they would be outnumbered and outgunned in any galactic conflict. Back on Kepler Station, the mood in the main hall had completely changed. The aliens who had been laughing and making jokes about the primitive human ship now sat in stunned silence. Some were frantically making calls to their home governments. Ambassador Chen sat in the front row, his mouth hanging open in amazement. Maria Santos leaned over and whispered, "Sir, should we say something?" Chen shook his head slowly. "I think Captain Martinez said everything that needed saying." On the observation ships, alien military officers were having urgent conversations with their commanders back home. The implications of what they had just seen were staggering. "This changes everything," said Commander Vextar to his bridge crew. "If humans can build one ship like this, they can build hundreds, maybe thousands." A Zephyrian admiral contacted his crystal homeworld immediately. "The humans are not primitive," he reported, his chiming voice filled with worry. "They are using technology we do not understand. Their weapons ignore our defenses completely." But the most dramatic reaction came from the Altarian fleet commander, Admiral Veltar. He had spent his entire career believing that his people had the most advanced technology in the galaxy. Now he was ordering his science teams to analyze every second of the battle footage. "How did they absorb pure plasma energy?" he demanded. "Our best shields can only deflect it, but their ship ate it like food and asked for more." His chief scientist, a pale blue being with 6 arms, worked frantically at multiple computer terminals. "Sir, I am detecting at least 12 different materials in their hull armor. Some of them I do not recognize at all. And their weapons, kinetic projectiles, should not work at those speeds. The energy required would be enormous. Then where did they get that energy? Veltar asked. From us, sir, the scientist replied quietly. They converted our plasma attacks into power for their railguns. We literally gave them the energy to defeat us. This revelation spread quickly through the observer fleet. The humans had not just defeated the Krillians, they had turned the Krillian weapons against them. Captain Martinez opened a channel to all the observer ships. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our demonstration. The Defiant is returning to station. Thank you for your attention. As the human ship began moving back toward Kepler Station, something unprecedented happened. One by one, the observer ships began following it. Not pursuing or threatening, but following like students following a teacher. The news of the battle spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. On dozens of worlds, military leaders and government officials watched the recordings with growing amazement and concern. On the water world of Aquarius, the High Admiral of the Oceanic Federation called an emergency meeting. Gentlemen, we need to reconsider our assumptions about this species called humans. They have just demonstrated technology that makes our most advanced ships look like toys. The rocky creatures of the Titan Collective had a similar reaction. Their supreme commander, a being made of living stone, spoke to his war council. These humans fight like the ancient warriors of our legends. They turn their enemies' strength against them. We must learn from this. But nowhere was the reaction stronger than on the Krillian homeworld. Emperor Graxthor, supreme ruler of the Krillian Empire, watched the battle footage in his war room. His advisors cowered as his rage grew. Our most advanced ships, he growled, defeated by a vessel that looks like a pile of junk. How is this possible? His military advisor, General Korth, tried to explain. My lord, their technology is completely different from ours. They do not use energy shields or plasma weapons. Everything they build is solid, physical, mechanical. It is like fighting an enemy from another universe. Then we adapt, the Emperor declared. Find out everything about this human technology. I want our scientists to study every second of that battle and contact our spies in the Galactic Council. I want to know everything about this species called humans. Meanwhile, on Earth, the victory was being celebrated in a different way. In the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Patricia Hayes, Supreme Commander of Earth Defense Forces, addressed her staff. The Defiant performed exactly as designed, she announced. Captain Martinez and her crew have given us something invaluable. They have shown the galaxy what we are capable of. Her aide, Colonel Roberts, raised his hand. General, our deep space monitors are picking up increased alien communications traffic. It looks like every major power is trying to learn more about us. General Hayes smiled grimly. Good. Let them wonder. How many more ships like the Defiant do we have in production? 17 are nearing completion, ma'am. And the new Titan-class ships should be ready within 6 months. Excellent. But we must not get overconfident. The galaxy is vast, and we have only faced one type of enemy so far. There may be others with technologies we have not encountered yet. Back on Kepler Station, the Defiant docked in the same bay it had left from just hours before. But now, instead of empty corridors, hundreds of aliens waited to get a glimpse of the ship that had changed everything. Captain Martinez walked down the ramp to find Ambassador Chen waiting for her with tears in his eyes. Captain, he said, his voice shaking with emotion, you have no idea what you have accomplished today. Not just the victory, but how you won it. With honor, with mercy for the defeated, you have shown the galaxy what humanity truly is. Martinez looked around at the crowd of alien faces watching her. Some showed fear, others showed respect, and a few showed something that might have been hope. This is just the beginning, Ambassador, she replied. We came to join the galactic community as equals. Today, I think we proved we belong here.